Hey there everybody, Eric from Outer Limitless coming at you today with another video. Now in a prior video I was deep in the remote wilderness of the mountains testing my T17.5 and T17.3. Now more specifically it was the T17.5L, and when I say T17.3, well, in that video I revealed that this was originally going to be the T17.4, but when I got this in my hands and reached out to the guys at Tanev Family Knives, we decided that this would now be the T17.3, and there will be in the future an actual full-handled T17.4. So the T17.5L, T17.5 standard length, and T17.3 now moving forward and going into the production phase. So at this point, I have a bunch of footage to show you and a lot of things I want to go into detail on each one of these knives to help you with your overall understanding of the design, the purpose, the overall fit and finish, and the upcoming features that will be available. Now, if there's something here you see and you like it and you would like to order one of these with your own features, your own handles, style, grind, features, anything you would like, reach out to outerlimitless@gmail.com. So the first thing is, like the original T17, which is now called the T17.6, all these other knives will have a large variety of features and all the different things that you're going to be able to choose from. So like the T17.6, you can get this in acid stonewash. Now we offer a tumbled finish. You can get it in the satin finish if you would like. You can get sharpened spine, unsharpened spine, jimping, finger choil. Well, for now, with the T17.5, I haven't had anybody specifically asking for a finger choil just yet. So with the T17.5 and T17.5L, for the time being, it's going to be a full-length cutting edge. I do expect in the future to potentially offer this with a finger choil as well. But one of the first things I want to get into with this T17.5L, the L meaning full-length handle, so the long handle being the exact same length as on the T17.6. And I want to really preface this entire video by saying the reason for this project in the first place. I am an avid outdoor hiking, camping, and backpacking enthusiast, so the knives that I am designing and the way that I'm designing them have that in mind. So even though some people would like one geometry or another, these are made for that particular outdoor activity specifically. Now, are these good for other types of tasks? Absolutely. But the reason why I design these the exact way that I do is keeping in mind that outdoor activity, the hiking, camping, and backpacking genre. So there's very specific things that I'm trying to do with my knives, such as process wood for a fire, do my basic camp tasks, cutting of rope and things like that, and my cordage, preparing my food. So the grips are a certain way for a reason. The ergonomics are a certain way for a reason. The blade shape and profile, and even the way the knife carries. It is all done with camping, backpacking, and hiking in mind. Those general overall camp tasks and duties, they need to be done efficiently. They need to be done comfortably. And this knife has to work for that scenario for sure. So with that said, the T17.6 is really intended for some of those larger tasks, the chopping and processing, batoning of wood. So this can't be that sort of do-all blade, and I acknowledge it's a little bit big and maybe just a little bit heavy. So that's where the T17.5 comes in, trying to find that sweet spot where you get a lot of the same sort of performance that you get out of the T17.6, but in a slightly more manageable size. And the reason why we have the T17.5L and T17.5, well, the T17.5 is more of your traditional geometry. It gives you more of that sort of traditional proportioned knife, proper blade length to handle ratio, so to speak. But what about people that have a real large hand? I mean, I do have a large hand, and don't get me wrong, this T17.5 fits me beautifully, and it is extremely comfortable and feels really good in the hands. But if you have just a little bit of a larger hand and you want that little bit of comfort, or if you want to get back and do those chopping tasks and even batoning, this gives you good leverage on the knife to drive the knife down and through the wood. So the long handle, for me, finding that balance between a large blade, but also a smaller blade that can do some chopping. So maybe you don't want the full length T17.6, this T17.5L, trying to find that sweet spot. Now, a big importance between these two knives. The T17.6 uses a 5mm stock, which is basically 3/16 of an inch. The T17.5 and T17.5L, both using a 4mm stock, which is basically 5/32 of an inch. And that is the size of stock that Tanev Family Knives use, for example, on their T7 Pico model. Most of the models that Tanev Family Knives makes actually does utilize that 5/32 or 4mm steel. So I've done extensive testing on these knives to know that at this point, the T17.5 is going to perform extremely well with a 5/32 inch stock. Now, it's not going to have quite the same heft. It's actually going to be considerably lighter, which is again good for packability and carrying it on your pack or on your belt while you're going mile after mile after mile. So cutting down on the weight, being careful of the ounces, and making something that's going to count. However, it still does have the good overall capability, the stoutness that you need to do those chopping tasks, and definitely batoning. Now I'm out here today at this river at the end of a day of hiking. We're about 10 miles deep in some very remote wilderness. We had a summit hike that we were trying to get to today, but unfortunately the conditions weren't really so conducive to that. So we're making the best out of our trip, enjoying this river, and we're getting ready to have a nice rip-roaring fire. But in order for me to do that, I need to process down some wood. And I thought for me today, the best tool for the job would be this T17.5. Now this T17.5 being the smaller version to the full-size T17, which if you've come to know it, used to only be called the T17. Now that is the T17.6. So here being the smaller version, the T17.5. Now this particular one I have here, the T17.5L. L standing for full length long handle. The standard T17.5 having a shorter handle, but here today while I'm in the wilderness, I really want to get the advantage of some additional chopping power. So that's why for me, the T17.5L was the way to go. Now this T17.5L in my hands here being the prototype. So I'm giving it a good run for its money today to make sure it performs exactly as I hope. Now I don't have any doubts that this is going to perform wonderfully here in the 1.2379 European Standard D2 tool steel. Now the finish on this you will see is a tumbled finish. It is not the acid stonewash that you've come to know with the T17 lineup, but here being the T17.5L with the standard tumbled finish. On the handle here, the Voodoo resin scales in the color Stargazer with these beautiful toxic green liners, making a real nice combination and having just a wonderful pop. Now again, having that longer handle so I can get back and do some chopping tasks. This knife won't have the same forward mass that the full-size T17.6 has. However, I'm hoping that the T17.5L is going to strike that middle ground between a compact knife, light and nimble, yet still have some forward weight and the long handle to give you some chopping capabilities. So at this point, let's go test it out, because I'm really curious to see how this performs. Kind of spongy.
Yeah, man, it's a little wetter than I was hoping.
Some dry stuff in here though.
Yeah, there's some stuff.
I think this will be pretty good once we get to it.
Find some dry stuff.
Getting some good clean cuts, but this doesn't feel like it hits quite as hard as the 6. And that's to be expected. The question is, can it still do the work? So here's the thing. This will do the chopping tasks, but this thickness, which I want to say is 4mm instead of 5 like the full size, doesn't have the same mass to really give it that chopping power. So it would be very interesting to see this in the full 5mm thickness stock. So we got a bunch of stuff, but we need to split it down, so we have a few ways of going about it. But I do want to test this T17.5 with the thin stock to see how it does in the batoning tasks. Now, I would expect that in reality, the 5, if it had the full 3/16 inch or 5mm spine thickness, I think it would do a better job, but I'm curious to find out, so let's get into it. So far that feels good. Looking at the initial crack, looks like it's cracking the wood fairly well. So that's a good sign. I was just curious about that. Still a little stiff to crack, but that is a gnarly knot right there. Let's go this way. Either way, nice. Glue that piece off. Alright, so this log is kind of punky that I'm batoning down onto. So I'm afraid the wood's gonna drive down into it. There we go. That's a nice piece. Let's go this way. That crack's already in the wood. Nice. All right. Well, that's a good sign already. I like that. Nice. That's a good sign. I like that. So this piece of wood right here is like pretty much literally petrified. It's a telephone pole. It is dry and hard and weathered, but just insanely hard. So if I can baton through this, which I think is a little bit of a chore, but I'm gonna try it, we're gonna be in good shape. See if I can do it this way so you can watch. Whaling on the tip. Nice cracking action. Yes. Yes. That's what I'm talking about. That is awesome. Straight as an arrow and not a single imperfection on that blade edge yet. Now this finish is going to be the finish that you get when you want your knife to look used. This is patina. When you want to put your own natural hard use patina on your blade, this tumbled finish is awesome. And personally, I like that. I like showing the use and wear on my knife, and that is pretty freaking cool. So far, acid stonewash does show wear, but still looks the part. The satin finish, of course, it's gonna scratch. You gotta be a little bit careful, but it's been pretty durable. That finish really holds up. I'm surprised, and it's doing a nice job. But here, that straight up tumbled finish, really cool. I like that. Awesome. So I always like to do my cutting tasks last when I test a knife. And as you see here, that's really the order it goes in. At first you gotta chop, then you gotta split, and now you gotta carve. So why not test that way? And that's pretty much the theory I have. So anyway, at this point, my question is, how good is this edge gonna be? Well, there's only one way to find out. This knife in particular, the one that I would really think should do a wonderful job with curls. And that's what I was kind of going for with the thin stock, but I don't know. It's going to be a trade-off. Do you want slicey and thin, or beefy and capable of chopping? I mean, there's going to be a trade-off. What I think is that my T17.6 carves well enough that I should give this a go in the thicker spine and see how it works. Might be the best of both worlds. Let me know what you think. Kind of curious your impressions. Let's make some decisions here together, I guess. Okay. Trying to plane myself. Not doing a very good job just yet. I need to plane myself a nice edge. Here we go. Carry that down. Bend it off. Let's do that again. Here we go. I mean, very nice, dainty little curls. Not really doing the best job. I'm not really finding the edge of the wood very well, and that's my own fault. I'm just struggling a little bit. Now I am trying to get impressions of the feeling of the edge. The edge geometry is different than the full size, and I can tell you that I feel it. It is getting good bite overall, getting some decent feathers here as I work this wood. Feels pretty good in the hands. You know, I'm bearing down here tiny little bit in terms of, you know, feeling it on my knuckle because it is metal, and you know, I acknowledge that, but it feels good. Good lock up, feels nice in the hand, filling out perfectly, good full handle, which is exactly what I like. Just having that ability to get where you need to on the blade for comfort. And yeah, I mean, so far, doing a pretty good job. Alright, so usually I don't like trying to baton things this long because it is dangerous. The knife can kick towards me, but I'll be careful. And I just, after seeing the splitting action of this little knife here, I'm just curious how this will go. The nice thing, and where this is working, and you can kind of see the leverage on the handle is really good with the long handle, so you can get the knife back to level, and a lot of times it was actually going easy. The knife was just going nice and below and then hammer down, and as you're pushing, you're keeping everything kind of forcing its way down through the wood. I mean, that worked very well, big piece, no problem, and this knife is doing a great job splitting, it really is. No problem. Just blowing right through this stuff. Now, something I do like to do with my camp knife is position pans and move them around to where I need. If you don't have one of these pot holder things, well, this to me is the way to go. Good firm grip, no problem, no fear of dropping it. That's what I like about a nice camp knife. And when it has a nice long handle, definitely also helping to keep further out of the fire. Nice. A little more. Want this one, dude? This is pretty much ready to go. I think you're in for a little bit of a treat here, my friend.
Yeah, buddy. Come in.
This is the, sorry. Yeah, no worries. The appetizer, man. It's looking good. Yep. That's about right.
Like magic.
Magic. It's already gone? What the heck? Ooh, baby. And this is why you choose the slicey one, if you want that nice, refined cut. And so as you can see, the T17.5L doing a great job in that wilderness application. The one thing being, it's a little bit light on those chopping tasks. However, it can still do it. Another way that would be really a great way to approach it is, instead of straight up sort of chopping at the wood, you could potentially just baton, do a little cross batoning, nibble away some, beaver down, one of those branches and snap it off. I mean, there are a number of different ways you can approach it. But bottom line is, good quality camp knife, feels great in the hand, good ergonomics, and a nice carry system. Tanev Family Knives coming out of the gate with this beautiful leather sheath, just beautifully done. It's nicely formed, nicely welted, good dangle system. The one thing with the long handle that you will see, and I like it, you just need to decide if this is something that you like or don't like. It does dangle sort of in that forward canted direction. Now that works out great for me, where personally I carry this crossbody on my weak side. So it's easy for me to grab this with my left hand, snap open the retention strap, pull the knife out, get to work, put it back in the sheath, nice and controlled, and then put that button back and into place. That works well for me. It may not be the exact way that you like to carry your knife, but as I mentioned, that's just a personal preference. You do have the ability to remove the dangler if you don't want. You can carry this as a belt knife, obviously, on either side of your body. These can be made in right hand or left hand versions, so everything that I do, taking the user into consideration. I don't want to make only right hand options. These are right hand or left hand capable, so they would be ordered specifically for that, but definitely options for everybody.